So in the today's session, we'll see how we can handle dropdowns, dropdowns, or we can say dropdown box, right? So dropdown is most important topic. So let us see, because there are different type of dropdowns. We will handle them in different ways. Okay, some predefined methods also there, and without predefined methods also we can handle the dropdown. So majorly there are three kinds of dropdowns we can see on our applications. So the first type of dropdown is normal selected dropdown and bootstrap dropdown and then hidden dropdown. So these are the three kinds of dropdowns we can see normally in our applications. So if we have a selected dropdown, this is very easy to handle because we have some built-in methods are available. So we can easily handle those selected dropdowns. So these are the default dropdowns. And most of the latest type of applications nowadays having bootstrap dropdowns and hidden dropdowns. So these are the two latest technologies, but the old selected dropdown is the old one. And sometimes you can see select dropdown. Sometimes, most of the times, you can see bootstrap and hidden dropdowns. And different approaches are there to handle these dropdowns. We'll see one by one. So first, let us start with the selected dropdown. So how we can handle the selected dropdown. And one more thing, in these three dropdowns, only the first type of dropdown is having select tag. If you inspect that dropdown element in HTML, you can see select tag. Okay, and then you can confirm that is a selected dropdown. If you're able to see select tag in your HTML, you can confirm that is a selected type of dropdown. And if you don't see select tag, sometimes you can see div tag. Okay, and other than div tag, sometimes you can see button tag or some other else tag. So those are all comes under bootstrap or hidden dropdown. Okay, if you're able to see selected tag in HTML, that comes under the selected dropdown. And other than select, if you see any other type of tags, that comes under bootstrap or hidden dropdown. Okay, so I'll show you sample example how we can handle these three types of dropdown. First, let us start with the select type of dropdown. Select dropdown. So I'll show you a sample example. So let's go to test automation practice. And here, if you look at this, there is a dropdown called country, right? There are multiple options are there in this dropdown. So if we inspect this element, and you can see select tag here. And if you expand the select tag, you can see multiple option tags. So every option in this dropdown is having a separate tag. Okay, so how many options are there in the dropdown? There you can see those many number of options present inside the select tag. So these are all options are child tags of select tag. Okay, and this is called select dropdown. So as soon as you can see select tag here in HTML, that is called select dropdown. Okay, now the dropdown element itself is one web element, and inside this there are multiple options are there, right? Every option is a web element. So that means one web element contains some more web elements. So the dropdown itself is one web element, and inside this, each and every option is also a web element. Every option is a web element because these are all child elements of the parent element, that is dropdown. Okay, so if you inspect this element in HTML, you can see that. So the select, this is the element which is representing the entire dropdown, and then okay, and then if you expand the selected tag, you can see multiple options. So each of every option is a web element. Okay, now we'll see how we can handle this type of dropdowns. So let's go to Eclipse, create new package. So I'm creating new class, select dropdown. Okay, So now we'll see how we can handle the selected dropdown. So first of all, we need to create a WebDriver instance, launching application and all those things. So let me do it. Okay, so WebDriver object created. This is implicit wait, and this is our application launching and then maximizing the web page. All right, so first we'll see how we can handle the dropdown. So whenever you see the dropdown, what's the first action we do? We will select the value from the dropdown. So we'll select one of the option from this dropdown like this, right? So this is a major option, major action we do most of the times. But before that, we have to capture this element. Okay, how to capture this dropdown element, and from that, how we can select this value. So whenever you see select type of dropdown, to handle this, we have to use something called select class. There is a predefined class is available in Selenium, which is called select. Okay, this is a class. So by using this, we can handle the select type of dropdowns. Not every dropdown, only select type of dropdowns we can handle by using select class. So for that, what we need to do is first let us inspect this element. This is a dropdown element, and select tag is there. Class option, class attribute ID is there. So if I go back and see the selector hub, and which is given an XPath by using ID attribute, it is given XPath for that element. So I'll capture it and try to find that element. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay, now this element we have to store in a variable. I'm taking DRP country, some variable, and type of the variable is obviously web element. Okay, web element. So now import this web element. Yeah. So now we capture the drop down web element. But the next thing is we have to choose one of the option in this drop down, right? So it is not directly possible. So we can capture this element as a web element, drop down as a web element, but every option is a web element again. So what we have to do is whatever element we have captured, we have to pass this element in the select class object. So we have to create something called select class. We have to take select. Okay. And this is element we captured DRP country element. And that we have to pass in a variable select DRP country equal to new select, and whatever element we capture, we have to pass it inside the select object like this. Now we need to import this select from org OpenQS Selenium support.ui. This is a process. So first we have to capture the drop down element. Then we have to create a select class object. Inside that object, we have to pass the drop down element. So this is a special class which we have to use if you are working with the select type of drop down. And if you are able to see select tag in HTML, that is called a select drop down. Okay. Now, once you create a select class object, by using this object, we can perform other type of operations. Like what are the operations we can do? We can select the value or option from the drop down like this. Or suppose sometimes I want to find how many options are there in the drop down. I want to count how many are there. Or sometimes I want to retrieve each and individual values, right? These are the different operations we can do. So we'll see how we can do those operations. So we capture the drop down as a web element. Now we have passed into the select class object. So now we'll see how we can select the option from the drop down. Select option from the drop down. So to select the option from the drop down, we have three methods are available in the select class. And we already created an object. So through the object, we can access those three methods. So by using three methods, we can select the value from the drop down. So what are those three methods? Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. So these three methods are available in the select class itself. So we can access them by using an object of the select class. So we already created an object called DRP country. So by using this, we can access this method. Only one of the method is enough. Three options are available, three methods are available. We can use one of the method. Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. Now let me show you how we can select the option from the dropdown. So we need to take this select class object, DRP country, dot, we can type here, select by visible text, select by visible text. And here we need to pass which option we want to select. So in this, there are so many options are there. Let me select something called France, France. So that I'm going to pass like this. So what is a visible text? Visible text means whatever we can see in this UI, these are all visible text. So whichever option you want to select from the drop down, you can pass that value as a string variable like this. So select by visible text. And this will able to select the value from the drop down. So now execute and see. Yes. Now we can see the France is got selected here. This is one option. Select by visible text. Select by visible text. And there is one more option. Suppose one more method is there. So I can say DRP country dot select by value. Select by value. So most of the people will confuse here. What is visible text? What is value? Value is an attribute of the element. Okay, value is an attribute of the element. So if you look at this particular options in the HTML, every option tag is having a value attribute. Can you see here? The value attribute. So what is the value of the value attribute is something here. We need to specify that. So suppose if you look at here, let's say Japan. Japan is a value, right? So I can just pass it. In the double quotes, we have to pass. And sometimes the visible text and the value will be the same. So if I look at this, you can say here it is a Canada. And the value of the value attribute is also Canada, right? But there is a difference. The visible text is started from uppercase and value started with the lowercase. And here, if I look at here, the visible text is United Kingdom, but the value is what? UK. Okay, sometimes they may be similar, sometimes it will be different. So don't think value is nothing but not a visible text. Visible text is different. The value is different. Visible text means these are all inner texts, which we can consider as a visible text. And value means the attribute of the particular option element, right? So now I want to select something called Japan. So I can pass it as a Japan here. Select by value. And when to use it, sometimes if you don't find value attribute, sometimes you don't have a value attribute in HTML. In that case, you cannot use visible by select by text. Sorry. So select by value. So you cannot use this method if you do not have a value attribute in a HTML. So that's the reason they provided multiple options. Sometimes you may find that option, sometimes you may not find it. So if the value attribute is available for that option, then only you can use this method, select by value. And select by visible text, you can every time you can use because visible text is always present. But select by value you can use only if the value attribute is present. So now let us execute it and see. It should select Japan. Yes. So now we can see it is selected Japan from the country. So this is one method. Select by visible text, select by value. Now the next method is select by index. DRP country. So what is this DRP country? DRP country is a select class object. So we should not use this web element directly because the drop down is one web element. Inside this, every option is a web element. So we cannot directly use this web element that we have to pass in the select class object. Then we have to refer the select class object to access all the methods. Now drp country dot select by index. So what is an index? Where we can find it? So we cannot find index especially in the HTML. We need to count manually. So for example, index will start from 0 again. So this is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like we need to count it. Okay. So for example, I want to select okay, United Kingdom. So what is an index of it? 0, 1, 2. So now I can pass 2 as an index. Okay, so I can pass 2 as an index. Let's see and execute. Select by index. So you have to count this manually. Run as Java application. Okay, now you can see United Kingdom. So options we need to count from 0. Index will count from 0, 1, 2 like this. So United Kingdom 0, 1, 2. So United Kingdom is got selected. Okay, so these are the three methods are available. Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. By using one of these method, we can select the value from the dropdown. It is very easy, very straightforward. But if you go with the bootstrap dropdown or hidden dropdown, you don't see these methods because we do not have a select tag there. So we need to handle them differently. So these methods are applicable only if you have select dropdown. Select a tag you should have in the HTML. Then only you will able to create a select class object. You will able to use these methods. Okay. Now let me show you one more operation. So this is how we can select the value from the dropdown by using these three methods. Select by visible text, select by value, select by index. Now, 0 is always starting index. Okay, we need to count index 0 from especially from top downs. Index most of the cases index will start from 0 only. So, but index is not an attribute of the element. If it is available, no problem. You can use that, no issues. Okay. So, okay, let me understand. Let me just try to do it. Sometimes, okay, let's say you have a selected tag like this. Select ID equal to CRP down something, or you can say ID equal to. You need to change it according to your HTML. Okay, let's say this is my select. Inside this, there are multiple options are there. Let's say one option is having something called normally we have a value attribute. Okay, value is equal to suppose IN and visible text is let's say India. Okay, and now the option tag is got closed. So suppose if you see select a tag like this, so normally you can use this value as an attribute. This is an attribute, right? So we can use value, select by value method. So if you want to use select by visible text, you need to pass this one. If you want to use select by value, then you have to use this one. If you want to use select by index, then normally we will count index from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But sometimes you can see one more attribute here called index like this. Okay, attribute. Now here index is an attribute. It is available as an attribute. So then what we can do, you can use this index 0, right? So that you can use as an index itself. Okay, so this is an attribute. Index equal to 0, right? So you can pass 0 here. So even that is also correct. Sometimes it may, I haven't seen many times, but sometimes if you see this, you can pass it or else no. Okay, this is you can pass, no problem. Even if you're not seeing this attribute, still you can pass index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Still that will work fine. Okay. So this is how we can handle the drop down. We can select the option from the drop down. Next one, suppose my requirement is I want to find how many total number of options in this particular drop down. Okay, I want to find total number of options, and I want to compare that with my expected number. That's a part of my validation. So my requirement is I want to check whether this dropdown is having 10 options or not, or 20 options or not. So how we can do that? So we will try to first capture all these options into a variable. Then we can count how many are there. Okay. So how to capture all the options from the dropdown? And we no need to write a common XPath here, because which is a selected dropdown, we can easily handle this. So normally, if you want to capture multiple options or group of options, we will write a one common XPath, or we will use a common locator. But here, to capture all the options from the dropdown, we use one method called get options. Capture the options from the dropdown. So how to capture? Very simple. Take this select class object, drp country dot. There is a method called get options. Get options. So this particular method will return all the options into a variable. I'm creating one variable called options. Okay, options. Now, what is the type of this variable? Get options method will return list of web element, because every option is a web element. Every option is a web element. So if you return multiple web elements, the return type should be list of web element. It is just like a find elements. So normally, if you write a common XPath, which is pointing to group of web elements, that will return list of web elements. Same thing, get options also a method which is returning multiple web elements. And what are those web elements? Options. Now import this list collection. Right. Now we got the options. So once you get an options, can we find how many are there? So we can say system.out.println options dot size. Okay, this will give you total number of options in a dropdown. So number of options in a dropdown. Right. Now execute. I'm not selected anything. I'm just capturing the number of options. I already captured the options, and then I'm just printing total number of options. Okay, now I can go back. Yes, now I have a 10 options are available in 10 countries are there in my dropdown. Okay, now suppose I want to print those options in my console window. Printing the options. So whatever options I've captured, from the dropdown, I just want to print them in the console window. There's a 10 options are there. So I want to print those 10 options. So how we can print them? So we already captured all the options as a web element. Now we need to print them. So if you want to use normal for loop, we can use it, or else we can use enhanced for loop. So first let me show you with the normal for loop. Okay, so options is a list collection basically, right? So where is the index will start? 0. So I'm taking index int I equal to 0. How many times we have to repeat? Depends on the number of options. So I less than options dot size. So it depends upon the number of options. And I plus plus. Every time I'll increase the size. So listen carefully. So how we can capture the elements from the drop down? See, even in the last class also some of you having some confusion here. So what is this options? Options is a list collection. List collection. And what is there inside this list collection? Here there is one option, here another option, here another option, here another option, right? Here another option. What is these options actually? These are the web elements. Okay, these are the web elements. Now there are multiple positions. So in every position of the list collection, there is a web element. Now what we have to do is we have to capture the web element from this position To get the web element from this position, we use a get method, get of 0 or get of 1. So when I use get method, that will return the web element from that particular position. And once you return the web element, then I'm using get text. Okay, so what is get method will do? Get method will return the particular web element from that list collection. Once it is returned, then I apply get text. So this will extract the text of that particular web element. So we cannot print web element directly because web element is a type of an object which is having so many attributes and methods and so on. So first we will get the web element by using get of 0 or get of 1 and get of 2 and get of 3 and so on. Once you get the element, then we will capture the text of the web element using get text method. So these are the two methods we have to use simultaneously. Now, what I will do is here first I will get the web element from the list collection. How we can get? So from the options, dot get of. So here I will pass index, I representing the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So I pass I, this will return the web element. And from that web element, I'll capture the text value by using get text method. So that will return the actual text of the web element, text of the option that I am printing here. System.out.println options dot get of I dot get of text. All right. So this is how we can write a normal for loop to read the options from the dropdown. Okay, let's execute now. So most of the times we try to use enhanced for loop. It is better to use it instead of using a normal for loop. Okay, I have not selected anything so far. I go back, see all the 10 countries are got displayed here, right? So this is how we can also find how many options are there by using get options. And we can also capture each and every option one by one. And from that option, we can extract the text value. So what is another method is get options. So what this method will do, this will returns all the options from the drop down as a web element. Every option is a web element. Remember this. Okay, this is one more method which is available in the select class. Okay, now let me close this. All right. So now let us see how we can use enhanced for loop. Get options is only for selected type or drop down. Yes. Yes. So what are all methods I'm discussing here? These are all belongs to select class object. So if you have a selected type of drop down, then only these methods you can access. Okay. If there is a other type of drop down, how we can do these operations, we will see that. Okay. So the get options, get visible text, from where we are accessing all these methods. We're accessing all these methods from the select class object. If I look at here, drp country dot select by visible text, drp country dot select by value, select by index. Even get options also have access from the drp country. What does it mean? All these methods are present inside the select class only. So if we have a selected class drop down, then only we can use select class object. Okay. Now let me show you how we can do the same thing by using enhanced for loop. Using enhanced loop. It's more simpler than above. Very simple. Let's take, we already captured the options. So take that variable and read each and every option in a variable. I'm creating one variable called OP. Now what's the type of this variable? Obviously it is a web element because options are contains a multiple web elements. We are reading each and every web element one by one into this OP. So OP is a web element. Okay, we directly capture the web element here from the options. So once you get a web element, from that web element, you can capture the text by using get text method. Here we don't need get or anything because we are not using any index. Okay, just print op dot get text. But here we are using index, right? That is the reason, because we have to first get the web element and then find out the text. But here we already capture the web element into OP from the options. So that web element dot get text I'm directly used. So this also will print all the options from the dropdown. Yes. So now we got all the options. Okay. So this is how we can handle normal dropdown, which is having select tag, the first type of dropdown. Okay, everything is clear so far, everyone? So please confirm in the chat box. You understood about normal select dropdown. Next, we will move on to the next one. So select dropdown is very easiest because the built-in methods are available, but bootstrap and hidden is a challenging stuff. Fine. So how we can identify a dropdown is a normal selected dropdown or not? In HTML, or when you're inspecting the dropdown, you will see select tag. Okay, if you're able to see select tag in HTML, you can confirm that is a select type of dropdown, and then you can apply this approach. Right. So now the next method, next one is bootstrap dropdown. So this is something, the latest type of dropdown, bootstrap dropdown. So you don't see select tag for those type of dropdowns. You can see div tag, or sometimes you can see button tag. Okay, tags will be different, but it is not select tag. Now I'll show you one example for bootstrap dropdown. So let me go to some application. Okay. Yeah. So look at this. This is the actual HTML code which is got created to design this HT bootstrap dropdown. If you look at this, this is the dropdown, and which is having options along with some checkboxes also, right? Which contains some checkboxes also. Option contains a checkbox also. There is a different type of dropdown. So if you inspect this element, and again, this is also multi-select dropdown. In the dropdown, again, there are two categories. One single option we can select. Sometimes we can select multiple options. So in the previous example, we can select only one dropdown, one option at a time. We cannot select multiple options. But here we can select multiple options. So this is bootstrap and also multi-select dropdown. Bootstrap and also multi-select dropdown. We can select multiple options. Okay. So bootstrap and also multi-select dropdown. Okay. Now, if you look at this and inspect this element, see, you can see button tag here. Okay. You can see button. You don't see select. And if you expand this, okay, this is button, and inside this nothing is there. It's just a multi-select. As what are the values by default is got selected, they are displayed here. And if you inspect this UL option, user list, every option is present inside the li tags. You can see every li is having internally one anchor tag, and inside this again we have a label tag, and inside this we have a actual label, web development. This is a label actually. And let's go to the next one. And you can see li tag inside this anchor tag, inside this label, again inside this an input tag. So this input is representing the checkbox. Label is representing the text beside the checkbox. Okay, for example, jQuery is a label. Beside this, there is a checkbox. So here input is a checkbox. Label is the actual value of the option. Okay, so this is a hierarchy we can see in this. Every element is same thing. Again, li tag, anchor tag, label, and input. So you may not have the same kind of hierarchy in every type of bootstrap. It keeps changing. So accordingly, we have to handle the different way. So basically, all these items are present inside the li. Inside the li, there is an anchor tag. Inside the anchor tag, there is a label and input. Label is representing the text of the option. Input is representing the checkbox of that particular option. Okay, this is what we have understood from the HTML. So now we will see how we can handle this, how we can perform different operations on this dropdown. And this, in this, we can select single option, we can select multiple options also. Okay. And XPath will play very, very important role in this type of dropdowns, especially hidden dropdowns and bootstrap dropdowns. We will totally depends on the XPath only. Okay. So we'll see how we can handle every operation we can do only through XPath. Let's create a new class. Bootstrap. All right. So we created one WebDriver object, and this is implicit wait and launching the application and then maximize. Right. So how to handle the first operation? How to select an option? Select how to select multiple options. I will show you through the looping. But if you want to select a single option, select a single option from the dropdown. Here, the select class won't work. Okay, select class we cannot use because it's not a select class, select object. So select a single option from this dropdown. So by default, HTML, CSS is already selected. Now I want to select another option. So simply what you can do is, we need to first click on this element like this. We need to perform the click action. Okay. So for that, we need to first locate the element. This is the element, button element. So capture the XPath of this element. Right. See, if you take this XPath, will it work every time? So to identify this element, selector hub is given this XPath. When I use this XPath to locate this element, every time this XPath will work? No. Why? Because this XPath is got generated based upon the value which is got selected. Suppose tomorrow some other value is got selected. Okay, now we inspect this element. XPath will be different. So here the options will be different. Okay, so we should not write XPath like this based upon the values, titles. Okay, so we need to write one common XPath. So how we can write one common XPath for this? So without using the existing options, we want to write a common XPath. Okay, so let me write my own XPath. So instead of using title attribute, so the title attribute is there, but the values are not standard. These values keeps changing. Okay, and other options we have like data toggle we cannot use, and type is equal to button. Maybe the other options also may have the same type. So other than this, we have a only class attribute. So in the class we can see multi-select, right? So we can write like this. So at the rate class, I'm taking class attribute. Okay, class attribute equal to, and selector hub is giving something here. You can use this option. See, one element is matching. So button at the rate class equal to multi-select dropdown toggle btn. So this is able to locate an element. Okay, again, it seems very lengthy, right? The class name attribute seems very lengthy. So I don't want to specify the lengthy one. I just want to select only multi-select. So I can use one more thing called contains method. So we have a contains method, right? Contains at the rate class, comma, and here I just say only multi-select. I remove rest of the thing, I can just remove it. Okay, and then close. Fine, this is also correct. This is also able to. This is more dynamic, right? So this is perfectly fine. If even if you specify the full class name, sometimes some part may be changed. Here you can say drop down toggle btn default. These things may change. So multi-select is a common. So I can just put like this. Contains class attribute is multi-select. So this I can use. So you can write many ways, but whichever you want, you can just keep using it. Now here I can directly click on the element. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. And here I want to perform the click action. So when you do click action, then it will open other options. So once you perform the click action on the drop down element, then only other elements are visible, other options are visible. So this particular command will open drop down options. Okay. So once you open the drop down options, now we will able to select the value. So I'll keep this before this because this command is most important. So once you click on this, it will open all the options. Now we will select the single option. So if you want to select the single option, get direct option, direct approach. Okay, for example, let's say this is a default stuff. When I click on it, it will open up options. Now I want to select one of the value. Let's say I want to select a Java. So then simply you can inspect the checkbox, Java checkbox, like this. Not label, you have to select the checkbox. Okay, now it is got generated one XPath and use it directly. You can say driver dot find element by dot XPath and dot click. So this will select an option from the dropdown. So if you want to select a single option, you need to do like this. Fine, execute. Yes, you can see Java is also got selected here. Along with the two default options, Java is also got selected. Okay. So if you want to select a single option from the dropdown, you can directly get the XPath of that option and perform the click. Suppose I want to select all the options. Okay, I want to select how many options are there in the dropdown. So how to, first we need to capture the option, then we can count how many are there, right? So this is my first requirement. Select a single option from the dropdown. Second requirement, capture all the options and then find out size. So I want to capture all the options and then find out the size. This is the most important thing. So here we don't have a get options or anything. We have to write our own XPath. So capture all the options and find out the size. So how we can do this? So we need to write one common XPath, which is matching with all the labels in this particular dropdown. Okay. So if you look at the XPath, look at the HTML, all these options are present in what? UL tag. Okay. Inside the UL tag, every li tag, suppose I'm expanding one li tag, there is an anchor tag. Inside this, there is a label tag. Inside the label, there is an input tag. So label is having actual value. Okay, so this, what is the label? Suppose I'm expecting this one. Label, if I inspect the label, here you can see the value. In this label, the value will be displayed. These values will come at the runtime actually. So that's the reason exact values we cannot see inside the HTML. So the label is empty actually, but this value will be substituted at the runtime. An input box is there. So we need to capture labels from all the options. Okay. So how we can write an XPath for this now? First, I'm going to directly use UL tag. I'll go to UL. I'm starting from the UL. Here it is. Inside the UL, where we can find the labels inside the UL, inside the LIs, and inside each and every LI, there is an anchor tag and inside the label. So I just want to skip this middle tags. From UL, I will directly jump to the label. From the UL, I will directly jump to the label. So I can say UL slash slash label slash slash label. Just observe 14 elements are matching. 14 elements are matching. Okay. Or what you can do is I can write like this. This is one XPath you can write, or you can put one attribute UL at the rate class. Okay. And for the UL class attribute is there multi-select container drop down menu, right? So that I can use UL contains at the rate class. And here I can put multi-select. Multi-select. So this we already written previously. So this is the XPath we have written, which is actually matching the drop-down element, the entire drop-down element. But in this, we have to go label section. So we can directly say label. Directly go to the label. This is also correct. 14 elements are matching. Okay. So now we can get this XPath to capture all the options from the drop-down. Go back to here. And so what is the command we have to use? Find elements. So driver dot find elements by dot XPath, and this will return all the options. So li slash a, I've skipped it because we have written the relative XPath, right? In the relative XPath, slash slash will directly jump to the element, label element. So it will automatically skip the between elements, like anchor tag is there, right? Between li and anchor tag. So these two will be skipped. From the UL, it will directly jump to the label tag. So in between, whatever the tags are there, it will automatically skipped. Why? Because we use relative XPath. Relative XPath slash slash will directly jump to the element. So actually how we have to write, first we need to go to anchor tag. Then you have to go to inside this, we have a label tag. So first we need to go to li tag, then anchor tag, then label tag. So this is how we need to write normally, right? So if you want to skip in the middle tags, you can skip it by writing just a slash slash. So this will return the 14 elements. Okay. So now this will return all the labels from the drop down into a variable. So I'm storing them in options variable. The type of the variable is what again? List of web element. Okay. So we got capture all the options from the drop down. Now, if you can find easily, right, you can say number of options. So number of options. How we can get options dot size. So this will give you a total number of options. So this is the way we have to capture all the options from the drop down. So only everything is depends on the XPath. Okay, so we have written one XPath which is pointing all the options in a drop down. Fine. So let's execute and see. So I'm commenting the first one for now. Okay. So total number of options, 14. Okay. Now my next thing is I want to print them. So I want to print all those options. Printing options from drop down. Third requirement. So printing the options from the drop down. Same. Again, we can write a normal for loop or we can write an enhancer for loop. Anything is fine. So I can directly write an enhancer for loop because you already know how to write a normal for loop. So very simple. You can take these options and get each and every option in the variable. I'm taking one variable called OP. The type of the variable is again same web element. It's same procedure again. So once you get an option, the procedure same. And here I can print op dot get text. We have to extract the text from the web element. So this will print all the options from the dropdown. Run as Java application. Okay, now you can see we got all the options from the dropdown. So because we already captured options by writing proper XPath and just read each and every option into the variable, then get the text of that particular option. Okay, suppose my requirement is like this. Because it's a multi-selector dropdown, right? I can select multiple options also. If you want to select a single option, you can go with this. You can directly write an XPath for that particular option, for that particular checkbox, and perform the click action. So that will select the one checkbox. But I want to select multiple checkboxes, multi-select dropdown, right? So how we can do that? Select multiple options. So whenever you want to select multiple options, better to go with the looping statement. Otherwise, you have to write the same statement multiple times. So which suppose you want to select 5 items or 5 options, you need to write the single statement 5 times. So instead of going with this, just try to use a looping statement. Okay, now this time I want to select multiple options. So how we can select multiple options? Same concept, same loop. Okay, so we are getting each and every option in this, right? That's basically a label. Basically, there's a label, right? So what we need to do now is we need to capture the text and whichever element you want to select, you need to compare that value by using if condition. Okay, if op.getText, op.getText dot equals. Okay, for example, I want to select Java. Okay, what else you want to select? Java I want to select, and I want to select Python also. So or we can use or operator, or op dot get text dot equals. Then if it is a Python also I want to select. Or so like this, you can put all the options, whichever option you want to select. Then I want to select MySQL, or op dot get text dot equals MySQL. SQL is uppercase. Right now, close this condition. So what are all options you want to select? You can put them here. So as soon as you get the text value, if it is equals Java, or instead of writing this much, what we can simply do is get the text op.getText into a variable. So here you can take one string variable. Okay, you can take one string variable, string option. Okay, now we need to compare. Take this option and substitute here. Okay, so instead of writing this, you can do like this. You can take another variable. So we are capturing the text value in a variable. Now we are comparing the text value equal to Java or Python or MySQL, whatever it is, we want to select it. How we can select? We can simply say option dot click. Option dot, not option. OP. OP is an actual web element, right? OP dot click. So this will select the option from the drop. Okay. So let's try to execute and see. So Java, Python, MySQL. So by default, 2 options are already selected, HTML, CSS. But apart from this, I want to select 3 more options. Run as Java application. Yes, now we can see Java is got selected, Python selected, and MySQL is selected. So this is a way we can select multiple options from the dropdown. Okay, very simple. Why is enhancer for loop? See, enhancer for loop doesn't follow any indexes. So many times I have explained. I think in the last class itself, we have a lot of discussion on this. See, why we have not used get method in this enhancer for loop? Because from the options, we will directly get the web element in this variable. So from that web element, we are extracting the text. Okay. But if you go with the normal classic for loop, it's not like that. If it is a normal for loop, we have to use the indexing concept. I think this is the fourth time or fifth time I'm repeating this. I don't know whether you are understanding or not. So this is the list collection. In this, we have multiple options. Okay, these are all web elements actually. So these are all web elements. Web elements in the sense is an object type of data. So if you are following index in the normal for loop, we have to follow index, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Index we have to follow. So if you want to get this element, first element, we have to use get of 0. And then we have to extract the text from the web element. So we have to use get text. This is the approach we followed in the normal for loop. Because we are following indexing concept. We are not directly getting the web element. We are getting the web element by using index. So get of 0 will get the web element. On top of it, we are applying get text. Same thing, get of 1 will get the element. And then on top of it, we are using the get text method. This is with the normal for loop approach. When you come to the enhancer for loop, the approach is like this. Even in enhancer for loop, we have a list collection. We have an options. Okay, these are all web elements. In enhanced for loop, what is happening is from that options, we are directly getting the web element in this variable. So this variable contains a web element. Okay, so from that web element, we can directly extract the text value because we are directly getting the web element into the variable. From that variable, we are extracting the text. But in case of normal for loop, we are not directly getting the web element. To get the web element, we have to use another method called get of 0, get of 1, get of 2. By using get method, we have extract that web element first. On top of it, we are using get text. But here, why we have not used get method? Because we already getting the element into the variable OP. So that is the reason we are directly using get text. Get is not needed here. I hope you guys are understood why, where we have to use get, where we should not use get. So this is the last time I will repeat again. I don't repeat this because this is the fourth time or fifth time. And also this is a very basic concept. Okay. So whenever you want to use index, then get method will come into picture. And whenever you want to use enhanced for loop, index won't follow there. So we can directly get the web element in this variable. We apply the get text. Okay. Now let's move on to the next thing. So if you want to select multiple options by putting one condition, you can select whichever option you want. So everybody's understood this is all about bootstrap element, bootstrap dropdown. So whatever operations we have done in the normal select dropdown, the same operations we have done in the bootstrap dropdown also, but in the different way, without using built-in methods. Without using built-in methods, only we dependent on completely XPath. Okay, so this is a bootstrap dropdown, second type of dropdown. And the bootstrap dropdown, we don't have any built-in methods. Everything we should handle through XPath. Now, hidden dropdown, the third one, which is very popular. Nowadays, the latest trending applications are using hidden dropdown. Let me show you an example for hidden dropdown. Why I'm calling hidden dropdown means the options are hidden. The options we cannot directly inspect. We cannot see those options directly on the web page. Okay, let me show you some application. In Orange HRM application, I'm logging into this. Once you log in, go to PIM tab here, click on PIM. Okay, now you can see there is a form, employee name, employee ID, status, Okay, include job titles, subunit, many things are there. So if you look at this job title or employee status or subunit, these are all hidden dropdowns. How we can say they are the hidden dropdowns? And what basis we will say that is an hidden dropdown? Let us inspect this element first. When inspecting this element, you can see there is a div tag. There is a div tag. But inside this, these options are not visible in the HTML. These options are not visible in the HTML. In this case, we can call it as a hidden dropdown. Hidden dropdown. Okay, so these options are not visible in the HTML. Then how we can select that option? Because there is no selector tag, so we cannot use built-in methods. And these options are also not present in this HTML. If these options are not available in the HTML, we cannot inspect them. If you try to inspect, what will happen? Let's see. I just want to inspect some item here, database administrator. As soon as you right click on this element, it is disappeared. It is disappeared. And you are not able to see anything in the HTML. You can see database administrator because you already selected here. But before selecting, I want to inspect one of these options. Suppose automation tester. Where right click, it is disappeared. Okay, I am not able to see all these options in HTML at a time, because that is most important when you're writing in XPath. Right? If you want to select one option from this drop down, you at least you have to write an XPath for one element. And suppose if you want to capture all the elements, you need to write one XPath which is commonly there for all the options. So until unless these options are visible in your HTML, you cannot work on these options. Okay. And this is also a dynamic dropdown. So these options will be loaded at the runtime. Okay. These options will be loaded. As soon as you click on this option, these options will be available. As soon as you close this element, the options are disappear. So these options are dynamically coming. And we can, other word, we can say this is the auto suggestion box. These options are suggested here. Okay. So until unless these options are visible in HTML, we cannot inspect, we cannot write XPath. Until unless we write an XPath, we cannot handle this. This is a major challenge of hidden dropdowns. Okay. So then how to handle this? So we have to make the options are visible on the HTML. That's the first thing. Then only we can do anything on this. Then only we can perform any operation on the dropdown. So then how we can make them visible on the HTML? That is a major part. So once they are visible in the HTML, then we can proceed further. Anything we can do. But how we can make them visible on HTML? So to handle these type of dropdowns, Selector Hub is provided one option, which is very, very helpful for us. One of the feature in the Selector Hub. So by using that feature, we can easily handle these type of dropdowns, even auto suggested dropdowns. Okay, and hidden dropdowns, we can easily get them. So I will show you very quickly, just observe very carefully. So you can know that. So by default, you will see this dropdown like this. And if you try to inspect this dropdown, you cannot inspect. You can inspect this, but you will not able to see any options visible in the HTML. Now go to Selector Hub. In the Selector Hub, there is one feature called debug on feature. This is the one, turn on debugger. I think the fourth icon in the Selector Hub, you can see fourth icon, turn on debugger. So by using this option, we can make options visible on the HTML. Okay, how we can do that? Very simple. First, we need to click on this turn on debugger. So once you click on this turn on debugger, within 5 seconds, you need to click on this element. Within 5 seconds, because the time of this debugger is only 5 seconds. So first step, we need to click on this turn on debugger. Within 5 seconds, immediately we have to click on this. So once you click on the dropdown, then immediately the screen will be freezed and the elements will be displayed on the or elements will be visible on the HTML. I will show you. Listen this. I'm clicking on the debugger and immediately I click on the drop down. Wait for a few seconds. Now you can see the screen is got freezed. Once it is freezed, then go to elements. Right now, if you look at this, expand this tag, you can inspect now. You can inspect whichever element you want. You can see all the elements are still dynamically loading, but you are able to see each and you are able to inspect at least, right? But earlier, those options are disappeared. You're not able to do anything. Now you can see every option is there in the div tag. So if you expand this, you can see here. But these options will be displayed at the runtime. You can see account assistant. You can see automation testers. Now you're able to see all the options in this. You're able to inspect those options. Okay. So this is the main stuff. Again, if you just want to stop, you can stop the debugger. Again, go here. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, here there is an option. You need to just click on it. Resume. Resume means everything will be stopped. Okay. So from once it is get stopped, you cannot do anything. That's it. So this is an option we have to use. I'll show you one more time. See very carefully. So by default, if you try to inspect like this, if I'm right clicking on some element here, disappeared. I'm not able to do right click anything, right? So I'm not able to writing anything. Suppose if you want to do this through selector hub, we can see inspect and go to selector hub. Take this, turn on debugger and then click on this element. Options are visible. After 5 seconds, it is got freezed. Now go to element section. Now you can inspect this element. Whichever element you want, you can inspect. Take this inspect option. You can select whichever option you want, you can inspect. Okay. So this is the way we can use this turn on feature. Okay. So this is by using select hub. There is other ways also there. I'll let you know. But this is a option which we can use for now. So let us see how we can do this. Let me create another example. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. Listen very carefully. First thing, you need to open the selector hub, inspect, open the selector hub. So once you open the selector hub, by default, you will not able to inspect any element. See, it is disappearing. Every element is, if I right click here, just disappear. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to click on this turn on debugger and immediately open the drop down. So click on debugger, click on the drop down and wait for 5 seconds. Yeah, you need to wait till the screen is got freezed. So once the screen is got freezed, then what you have to do, go to elements. Now you can take this inspector and you can inspect any of this element. So now in the HTML also, you can see all the options. Role attribute is there, right? So whichever element you want, you can click on element. You can see the div tag of that element and the inner text of the element. And once job is done, you can just stop this. Then it will come back. So this is how we can use it. Is it clear, everyone? How to inspect these elements using selector hub debugger option. Just click on the debugger, turn on debugger, click on the drop down, wait for 5 seconds, then screen will be freezed, then you can start inspecting the element. Okay. Now let's create another example. Handle hidden drop down. Suppose if you don't have selector hub, but it is little difficult to do that, but there is some option in the dev tools. I will show you that. Hidden drop down. Okay. So now right? So we created driver instance. This is our implicit weight, launching the page, maximizing the page, right? So the first thing, again, same operations, whatever we do, we will do. But before getting this, we need to first log in, and then we need to go to PIM, and then we need to navigate till we have to come till here, right? So for that, I have already some script. I'm just copying the piece of code. Yeah. This is just login steps. Okay. So username entered, password entered, click on the login button. And after successful login, I click on the PAM tab, and then I got a drop down. Okay. So the first thing is, before getting these options, if you want to get all these options, we need to click on the drop down like this. So how to click on the drop down? So first inspect this element, drop down element, and go to selector hub. We need to write our own XPath. So we need to click on this arrow mark. This is the one. Okay. So this is the relative XPath which is given. One element is matching. Just a moment. Okay. So I'm just taking this drop down, entire drop down, and this is the XPath which is generated. Press enter. One element matching. So I'm using this XPath. This XPath is for drop down. So driver dot find element by dot XPath. And here I want to perform click action. Okay. So once it is clicked, this will open the drop down. Clicked on drop down. Okay. So once you clicked on the drop down, it opens all the options. Now we need to select a one option. Select single option. So if you want to select a single option, we need to write an XPath for the single option. So if you if you click on it and try to right click on any of these options, it is disappearing actually. So what I want to do is I want to select something called finance manager. And if you try to inspect this element, disappear. So now what we should do, we should go to this, turn on debugger, click on this drop down, wait for 5 seconds. Screen is freezed. Now go to elements. Now we can inspect whichever option, finance analyst I want to inspect. So in this, take this inspector and find out the financial analyst. So this is the element. And for this, XPath is got generated. One element is matching. Capture this. So driver dot find element by dot XPath dot click. So direct click method you can use. So this will select financial analyst. First it is login. Go to PAM. Yes. You can see financial analyst. It is got selected. So if you want to select a single option, you can directly write an XPath for that option. You can select. Count number of options. Count number of options. Total number of options. So again, we need to write an XPath which is matching with all the options in the dropdown. So we need to write one common XPath. So how to write a common XPath? Actually, the element option is available in the span tag. If you inspect every div tag here, this option is available in the span tag, right? So, but where is this div and span tags are available here is in the parent div. So this is a parent div, and there is a role option, role equal to list box. And inside the div, multiple divs are there. Every div is pointing to every application. If you inspect the div option, If you expand the div option, here you can see in the span, you can see the actual value. So we need to write an XPath properly. First, let's start with the parent div tag. So inside the div tag, I'm using role attribute, role equal to, role equal to. So what is the role in the parent div tag? So all these divs are part of the main div. Let me inspect one more time. So these are all the div tags. So role equal to list box. This is the element. Role is the list box. Now it is pointing to all the elements. Inside this, I'm directly go to span. Now 28 elements are exactly matching. See, 28 elements are matching. So this XPath I can use. And this writing this XPath and everything is possible only if your screen is freezed. Okay. Otherwise, it will be disappeared. Okay. And once your job is done, then you have to stop the debugger. Okay. Let me finish my job and then I will show you how to stop the debugger. Copy that XPath and try to use it. Driver dot find elements by dot XPath dot and capture all the options. All the options into variable. So this is again list of web element. Okay, now we got options. Now we can simply count it. System.out.println number of options, options dot size. So this will give you total number of options in a dropdown. So once you're able to write an XPath, everything is easy. Still it is counting. 0. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so actually we made a mistake. So after click on, just comment this one. And after clicking on the drop down, it is taking few seconds to display all the options. So I will put a thread dot sleep here. 5 seconds. Okay, now I can see after using wait statement, after 5 seconds, it should capture all the options from the drop down. Yeah, now we got a 29 options. But this is a size of option. Okay, sometimes the options will come very slowly from the drop down. So in that case, you will get a 0 elements. Okay, so to avoid that, you can just put some sleep statement, 3 seconds or 5 seconds, below 5 seconds, and that will solve the problem. So number of options we can get like this. Now I want to print all those options in the console window. Printing options. Again, you can use the looping statement. Enhancer for loop. So whatever options I've captured, I keep them in the variable called OP. That is again a web element. And how we can print this from the web element OP dot get text. So get text is a method which will return the options. So this will print all the options from the dropdown. but it is not a multi-select, so we cannot select multiple options. At a time, we can select only one option. Google search box, I will show you how to handle that Google search box, okay? That is an auto suggest drop down. Google search comes under auto suggest drop down, because in that case, the options are keeps changing. So you will not get the same options there. Okay, so these are the current options which you have. So 29s are there. So this is how we can get the options from the hidden drop down. So this is hidden drop. Auto suggest drop down is a different. Auto suggested drop down is like this. Okay, before that, let me stop this debugger. So to stop this debugger, you can see one option here, pause in debugger, right? You just click on this step over next function call, and there is a resume script execution is there. F8 is a shortcut key. And if you click on it, it will stop. Okay, that option is there. So auto suggested drop down is different. So auto suggested means what? Suppose you will have a Google form here. So if you type something here, I got some auto suggestions, but these are all dynamically you're getting. And every time you may not have a same number of options. Every time you will have a different count. Every time you will have a different options. So these are all not static values actually. Okay, so in this case also you can write one dynamic XPath which is capturing all these options, and we can select whichever option you want from this. So this is auto suggest drop down. So this is the different. Okay, we will see that later. So this is also there. That is also comes on the drop down, but is auto suggest drop down, we can say. Okay, so is this clear to everyone how to handle hidden drop down? So before selector hub earlier, DevTools is provided one option to handle the hidden drop down. So, but probably in the latest browsers are available or not sure, but we will try. Suppose go to DevTools, inspect. In the DevTools, there is something called event listeners here. Go to event listeners. In the event listeners, there is an option called click here. Just try to refresh. Go to click here. And in this document, if you expand some document here, one of the document, you can see something called blur option. And you need to remove that blur option. Somewhere you can see that. Focus. Yes. Yeah, you can see the blur. Okay. So you need to go to this blur option. And whatever you can see, you can just try to remove this. Okay. So once it is removed, now you can try to inspect this element. Now you're able to inspect. So this option we can use from the Chrome browser. Other browsers, I'm not sure, but Chrome browser, you can see that option. So whichever element you want, you can inspect. And that also visible in the HTML. Okay. So earlier we have done like this, but once the selector hub came, so then it is more becomes easy. Understood everyone? So this is how we can handle the drop downs. How to suggest a drop down, I will explain that later because I need to combine that with another topic. How to handle the dynamic elements. So in that topic, I will cover auto suggest drop down elements. Okay. So this is all about select drop down, bootstrap drop down, and hidden drop. So based on this, I'll give you a few assignments today. You guys can try them. 3 assignments I will give it to you. First assignment. Okay, go to this particular page. So in this particular page, you can see country drop down and state drop down. Country and a state. So what is the requirement is first you need to go to this page and count the total number of options. In the countries, here just count the total number of options, print all the options and select one of the option. You can try this, okay? It is normal select drop down. It is just a normal select drop down. If you inspect this element, you can see the select tag. You can do like this. Now the second example, hidden drop down. Again, go to Orange HRM application. Log into this website. Once you log in, go to PAM. So here we have seen job title, right? Similarly, you have something called employment status. You can see freelance, full-time, part-time. So whichever you want, you can select. So employment status, you can try to handle this drop down. Employee status. And the other one is multi-select drop down. So in this application, you have another drop down here below on colors. In this, there are multiple options. This is also select box. If you inspect this element, you can see the select tag. Options are there. So the difference between this one and this one is here we can select only one option at a time, but here you can select multiple options. So you can try to do it through automated. Okay, so multiple options you can select in this multi-select drop down. This is multi-select. We can say combo box. This is also you can try colors multi-selective box. Okay, try these assignments for today's session and tomorrow we'll see some more options. Okay, so that's all for today. I'll stop here. We will continue tomorrow's session.